So we're coming to the end of the year here in 2025, and naturally you're going to get on your sales calls the objection of let's wait to the new year, let's wait after the holidays, whatever it may be. So in this video, I want to give you the exact step-by-step breakdown of how to handle this objection. I'm going to go through different examples and also some of the things that most people don't talk about when it comes to like actually handling objections. And I'm going to cover it all in this video. So sit back, relax, and let's jump in. All right, guys, so we're going to jump over to my computer here and we're going to go through this entire document. Lots of stuff here, so make sure to take notes. If you don't want to take notes, that's fine too, because if you click the first link down in the description below, I'm actually just going to give you this entire document so you can just bring this onto your sales calls and be able to handle this objection every single time. Now, keep in mind, is this objection, we're talking specifically about holidays, but this is really anything when like someone is saying something along the lines of like, I want to wait until after vacation or whatever. Like this is the timing objection, but obviously we're more specifically talking about the holidays because it's very top of mind at the time of recording this on November 13th. Thanksgiving's coming up. New Year's is coming up. Christmas is coming up. So going to be really, really needed to have this this objection handling framework in your back pocket. So again, first link down in the description. Also, if you're on this channel and you're like, hey, Aaron, I want to jump into remote closing. I want to make $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month going into the new year. I actually put together a remote closing quiz where you can just answer a couple of different questions and it'll give you a customized game plan based on what would be the best thing for you. Again, going through the rest of this year into the new year, into 2026, if you want to take advantage of the remote high-ticking closing and remote sales industry overall. So let's touch on this. So obviously we're going to touch on the framework itself, but there's really three main things we need to cover here around the three main objection types. Because a lot of people they'll just be like, oh, all objections are in one thing. There's really three different types of objections. So first is uncertainty, right? So this is anything that keeps the prospect from believing that whatever you just pitched to them is going to actually work for them, right? That's the right thing at the right time. Like those two things need to be together, right? Right thing, right time. They 100% believe that this is going to help them. Second one is financial, right? This is really just a logistical objection, right? Because if they truly believe it's going to work, all we need to do is just make it work for them financially, whatever that is, whether it's credit cards, loans, borrowing from a family member, right? Selling something in order to get the funds for it, right? So financial is the second objection. And the third, which we're obviously going to be covering, is timing, which ultimately is just another logistic, right? If they really want to do it, we just need to figure out how we can get them to start immediately to help them get closer to their goals. So I put a little note here, right? Spouse partner objections fall under logistics too. They really want to do it, right? I know I'm sounding repetitive, but this is all predicated on they are a 10 out of 10 that they want to do it and they believe it's going to work for them and they actually want to move forward, right? Because if that in and of itself is the core objection, no line, no anything will actually help you get past those objections. So again, we're going to be focusing entirely on the timing objection here. So let's go over through the framework. So step number one is we want to isolate with strong tie down. So what that looks like is, again, before you do anything else, you need to confirm that timing is the only thing that's standing in the way, and here's how you're going to do it, right? So you're going to confirm they want to do it. This is what we're going to say. We're going to say, so, John, timing aside, we cover the process, right? The 4 steps we're going to implement together when you work with us. What I really want to know is, do you 100% believe this is what you need to do to get to 100 grand a month in your business? So, 100 grand a month, you would just change that with whatever their goal is, right, within the business. And again, just really big keynote here, you'll notice this, we're going to cover this later on as well, is you need to understand that like this needs to be direct, right? You're essentially squeezing them to root out of any of the other hidden objections, and you almost want them to say no, right? You're almost getting them, like you don't want them to say no, but you almost want to get them to that point because you want to be able to address what's really going on, right? The underlying objection as to why they're saying like, I want to wait until the new year or whatever the time frame is, right? So if there's any uncertainty, right, hiding beneath the timing objection, you need to know that now, right? So again, we're not saying, so John, timing aside, we covered a lot of stuff. What I want to know is like, do you believe this is going to actually help you? No, I'll do it again, right? So John, timing aside, right? They say, yeah, I want to wait to the new year. So I'd say, okay, John, completely understand, but timing aside, that we cover this process, right? The 4 steps that are going to ultimately help you get to your goal, right? What I really want to know is, do you 100% believe that it's going to help you do that? Now, I kind of change it a little bit, right? Like if I'm in a sales call, I don't say it like exactly the same every single time, but it keeps the same directness. And it also keeps kind of the same theme of getting them to understand that like, okay, this stuff aside, you're 100% in, you want to do this. So then we're going to jump into the second tie down. So you want to get specific here. So you're going to say, okay, so when would you want your official start date to be, right? And keep in mind, we're asking these questions. It'll all make sense here in a second, but we're asking these questions because the same thing you do in discovery is you ask them these questions and then you put this information back in front of them when you try to get them to move forward once again. So you're going to ask, okay, so, when would you want your official start date to be? And exactly what dates are you going to be gone, right? So let's just say when you ask that question, they say, okay, I'm going to be gone, December 10th after Thanksgiving, right? That's when I'm going to get back. I just want to spend time with the family. So then what we're going to do is we're going to lock in the future commitment. So here's what we're going to say. We're going to say, so if we were having this exact same conversation December 10th, and you feel the same way you're feeling right now, you're processing payment, you're moving forward, signing the contract, you're 100% getting going, right? So again, this is critical. You're confirming that if you remove the timing, right, the timing obstacle altogether out of the equation, they're ready to move forward, no hidden objections at all, right? You want to get a 100% yes, I would be moving forward. And what we're kind of doing is we're almost like not tricking them. That's not the right word I would say, because again, anytime we're asking questions is so that we can put it back in front of them. So, but what we're doing is like we're confirming that, and they're almost in their head going to think like, oh, this guy's going to he's going to set a follow-up call, and that's why he's asking these questions. But what we're doing is we're just tying down to make 100% sure that this is the only thing that's holding them back. So then we're going to jump into step 2, which is acknowledging both sides, right? So once you've confirmed that they genuinely want to do it, timing aside, this is what we're going to say. We're going to say, look, I don't think the best thing for you to do is to hop in right now, right? If you're not going to be able to fully utilize every single day of the engagement. But at the same time, based on what we've covered about your business, especially your lead flow constraint, right? The bottleneck within your lead flow, is I also don't think the best thing to do is nothing. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to just play that back a couple of times and just listen to the way that I'm saying it, right? It's the exact same way that you would want to say it on a sales call. It's the exact same way that I say it on sales calls as well, right? There's the confidence, there's the conviction. Go watch some of Cole Gordon's videos. My business partner he's very good at this as well. I mean, I basically learned everything and all this stuff from him, but it's just, you want to be able to do it in that same way. Look, I don't think the best thing for you is to hop in right now if you're not going to be able to fully utilize every single day of the engagement. But at the same time, based on what we covered about your business, especially your lead flow constraint and that being the biggest bottleneck right now, is I also don't think the best thing for you to do is nothing, right? Kind of messed up there at the end, but you get the point. So again, this shows that you're thinking about their best interest, not just trying to make the sale, right? That's more specifically right here, right? I also don't think the best thing to do for you is nothing based on what you said your constraint is. So what we're going to do is going to jump into step number 3, which is changing the terms, which is your loop number 1. So looping basically means coming back and trying to get the sale again. So now what we're going to do is eliminate the logistic by adding time to their engagement. So remember, these are going to tie together. So we're going to say it's going to go from here, right? Especially your lead gen, your lead flow constraint. I also don't think the best thing for you to do is nothing. So here's what I'm willing to do for you is you're going to be gone for the next 10 days. Why don't you just start now? And we'll just add those 10 days to the end of the engagement. That way, you don't have to worry about losing that time. And by the time December 10th rolls around, when you're coming back, which is when you wanted to start anyway, you could have your offer remodel, your acquisition funnel in place, and you're already hitting the ground running. So you would insert, right, offer remodel, acquisition funnel in place. These would be things in this hypothetical scenario that they are struggling with, and kind of the action plan or the pitch as to what we're going to help them do. So you would just fill in that with whatever your offer is. Right? And then you're going to go close with confidence. So you're going to say this, right? So you can have your offer remodel, your acquisition funnel in place, and you'll already be hitting the ground running. So if I'm willing to do that for you, are you willing to move forward right now? Right? Again, you're just downward inflection, very strong. If I'm willing to do all that for you, right? We're doing a trade, right? It's if I'm willing to do that, would you move forward right now? Right? We're making it a no-brainer for them. So a lot of times, if you present that in the right way, and again, remember that you are isolating this specific objection, nothing else is the thing, it's just the timing, then a lot of people will move forward just then and they'll just agree to that, right? It's I'll get that time, I'm not losing out on anything. But if you need to, you're going to loop back into number 2. So keep in mind, this would be, you would say that, and they would maybe come back with something that's oh no, dude, 10 days is not enough. I really just want to wait until I get started back then. And I'd say, okay, so yeah, look, I totally get that. The reason I'm really recommending this to you, and maybe I would even phrase this with hey man, can I be honest with you? They're going to say, yeah. I'd say, well, look, I totally get that. The reason I'm really recommending this to you is truly based on where you are in your business right now, right? You need to do this. And there's no better time to commit to doing what you need to, that you need to do than right now. Right. So again, we're using this leadership frame of hey, you told me you want to do this. You told me you're a 10 out of 10. You really want to get this done. You want to build out this lead generation, right? All the discovery questions. You want to build a better life for your family. I'm not saying all those things, at least right now, right? It might be a little bit more that I add into that on an actual call. But I'm just saying, it's like you said you wanted to do this. So again, right, there's no better time to commit in doing what you need to do than right now. And then you would go from that, and then you would offer another extended engagement. Now, I wouldn't give them like 10 free months, but again, it's like we're wanting to get them move forward so they can start getting results as quickly as possible. So I'd say, so we'd go from that, right? You need to do this, and there's no better time to commit in doing what you need to know you need to do than right now. So let's do this. I know we talked about adding those extra 10 days. I can essentially set your official start date to December 10th, which is going to give you an entire extra month. That way, there's really no excuse not to do it because you're not losing out on literally anything. And honestly, you can use this time over the next couple of weeks so that by the time December 10th rolls around, like we said, right, your official start date, is you could really hit the ground running, right? You'll have your offer remodeled, acquisition systems, like we said earlier, and even, let's say, in all of November, the worst comes to worst and you don't have any time to implement, you don't lose out anyway. So it's like we're giving them more. It's like, what else could they say to that, right? It's like we're taking out every single thing that's going to potentially hold them back and literally giving them, at this point, an extra month. Now, keep in mind, I wouldn't go over the top of this, and we'll say I'll throw out a number. It's like 20%, 30% of the time you're not going to get them from the first loop. So you won't have to do this every single time. It's to get them in so you can help starting to change their life, right? So then you want to close strong. So you're going to, go from here. You'll have your offer remodeled, acquisition systems in place. And even if you get busy in November, you don't lose that anyway. So back to the thing I was saying, right? So if I'm willing to do that and I extend the engagement by a month, can we move forward right now? Downwards inflection, ask them that. So what happens if they still resist? If they're still like, I just, I don't want to do it, the time, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, so if they resist at that point, right, you've changed the terms, you've done all this stuff for them, you're literally bending over backwards to help them, is something else is going on, right? You've already removed the logistic of the timing, so now you just need to dig deeper and literally just call them out. It's like, okay, so John, like we did all these things, and I really want to get you going, and we're making it as easily as possible. So help me understand, like, what's really going on. Now, based on that, like really, one of the only things that you can that could pop up there, like after you've already tied them down a couple times, is you've likely just uncovered an unhidden uncertainty objection. So maybe they've tried it in the past, they've been burned in the past, they've tried it themselves, right, doing the ads or whatever your offer is, right? So you want to handle that first and then circle back into the timing and loop again if you needed to. Okay, so now that we understand the actual framework itself, what we're going to do is we're going to circle back to just like an exact like back and forth so you can see. I know we were just like breaking down the frameworks and the thinking in between them, but I'll give you like a full kind of beginning to end of like what that script would sound like and give you some examples. But before we do that, I want to touch on one of the most important things. Cole Gordon talks about this a lot, and he calls it sub-communication tonality. And that's really what we're taking about here is like, it's not so much about the words that you say, but it's how you say it. So we're calling this the energy and the intensity factor. So again, what most people miss out on is the words don't matter as much as the energy on these calls itself, right? So you can say all the exact words, right? You can literally copy and paste it, put it on your teleprompter, go through it on the sales call itself. You can nail it. Perfect. That was weird. Perfect every single time. But if you're too timid, you're too much of a nice guy, right? You're not direct enough, you're using too many words, it just won't work, right? They're not going to feel the conviction of you wanting to move forward or them wanting to move forward with you because you just don't have that confidence in them, right? So the 3 levels of sales guy energy or sales gal, right? Is like the nice guy or gal it's passive, indirect, using too many words, a bunch of ums, right? Seeking approval. You have the jerk, which is the, aggressive, high ticket closer energy, non-empathetic, right? Like really down your throat, just like, the used car salesman, as everyone uses that example. And then you have the leader, right? You have someone that's direct, honest, excited about their success, believes in them more than they believe in themselves, right? You want to be level number 3, which is the leader. So here's just a couple examples, right? When we look at leadership energy, it's not aggressive, right? But it is intense because you are excited about their success, right? You believe so strongly in how this is going to change their life for themselves and their family that the conviction is palpable, right? You can like feel the energy of that in the room. So we're going to compare these two just examples, right? So if you're the nice guy and you're like, yeah, so it would probably make sense for you to, not put it off and maybe get things started now, so we can get a start. Like, what do you think? Right? That's one way to do it. Or we can do the leadership thing, right? Look, I don't think the best thing for you is to hop in right now if you're going to be gone. That's not ideal. But I also don't think the best thing is to do nothing based on your lead flow and where it's at right now, right? It's the biggest bottleneck in your business. So here's what I'll do. I'll add 7 days to your engagement so you don't lose any time. That way, by December 1st, you're already gotten your offer remodel, your lead acquisition in place. So if I'm willing to do that, are you willing to move forward right now? right? No filler words, no ums, no pauses, just straight up conviction and telling them what they need to hear. Now, next up here is kind of an unspoken reason as to why this works so well. And it's called like a pattern interrupt. So if you know what a pattern interrupt, basically just it breaks someone's pattern of what they're usually used to hearing. So when you show up, right, for yourself on these calls with 10 times better energy than the average salesperson, you create a pattern interrupt, because when you're on these calls, or when most of these prospects are on calls, they're used to salespeople that are timid, right? They're used to salespeople that are manipulative. They're used to salespeople that are mediocre, that they don't really believe in their product, right? There's no conviction behind it. But when you show up as a leader who genuinely believes in them and their successes, they think, who is this person? Like, what the heck? Where did this guy come from, right? The differentiation alone can close deals, like just being more confident on your sales calls. So I would just run back through this, just really listen to a lot of Cole's videos, the way that he speaks, does objection handling, is you want to like really embody this. I give this joke or example all the time, is I remember when I was first being trained by Cole, is I would literally fall asleep to his call recordings, right? Within the program that I went through originally, it's still out there, Remote Closing Academy, Sales Team Accelerator, is I would like go through, there's a ton of like example calls, and I would just listen to them and I would fall asleep, right? Just listening and fully soaking in, how does this guy speak? What is the tonality? And more importantly, just doing that over and over and over, right? Sometimes even in my car these days, if I'm practicing this specific objection or any objection, it's like I'll just talk to myself and just practice it over and over and over again until I can get as close to this tonality as, some of the best salespeople, Cole included in there. So here's a couple of common mistakes to avoid when you're doing these tie downs, when you're handling really objections in general, right? So not isolating the objection first. This is huge, right? If you start offering solutions before confirming timing is the only issue, you get blindsided by hidden objections later. So you can use this exact same thing for any objection, right? Someone says, hey, Aaron, that's too expensive. I say, okay, got you, man. Like, totally hear you. Price aside, based on the plan that we just broke down, you're 100% confident this is going to help you get from where you are to where you want to be. And you would insert, right, current situation, desired situation. So it works on every single one, but you want to isolate the objection to make sure that you're handling the true objection. So number 2 is using too many words. So we talked about that, right? You want to get to the point faster. Wordiness kills power and confuses prospects, right? If you start going on tangents and giving examples, you just want to be direct, handle exactly what you're talking about in that moment. Number 3 is looping too quickly. Right, so if you were to the point in this example, if they didn't take the first like loop and they went into the second one, if you offer your second solution too fast, it looks desperate. So you want them to let them feel like they earned those better terms. So in this example, again, like it happens basically back to back, but there will be most likely other questions or objections or things that pops up between loop number 1 and loop number 2. Number 4 is weak tie down. So you still want to do this, right? Right, is weak. It's like, do you 100% believe this is exactly what you need right now? Right? You still want to do this, right? No. Second one, right? Do you want to, so John, just to make sure you 100% believe this is exactly what you need right now, and it's going to be the thing that helps you go from $50K a month to $100,000 a month. Yes. Okay, perfect. You move on to the next one. And then last but not least is number 5, which is not calling out the obvious. Now, this one's a little bit more nuanced, but the reason I put this on here is there was an example of a call that I heard recently from our sales team where the prospect was like, hey, dude, like, I'm a sales guy too. I know what you're trying to do. You're just trying to close me, right? So then you would just call that out. You would just say, hey, look, of course, like it definitely benefits me if you start right now. That is good for me, and we can bring in an extra deal. But is it really going to matter to me if we start now versus December 10th? No. So what I'm offering to you here changes the turn, so it's better for you, right? So again, you kind of spin it back to them, and as you can notice there, it's like I kind of did like a little joke in there, right? You wouldn't want to present this specific one. Again, this is pretty nuanced. It might not come up on, probably won't come up on many calls if ever, but that's just an example of like not calling it out. I think if we zoom out a little bit, it's just calling people out on their BS, right? Sometimes people will answer something and instead of, if you said like, are you 100%, you 100% believe this is going to help you? And they're like, yeah, I think so. It's like, I think so. Like, what do you mean? Like, help me understand. Like, what is holding you back from being 100% confident? Just like calling it out, not calling out the obvious is a really big mistake for a lot of salespeople. So last couple points here before we jump into the kind of back-to-back role play here is the intention behind the words. So if you want to focus less on the exact words and more on your overall intention. So your intention should be, I need to know, like if you're talking to the prospect, right? I need to know if you're 100% bought into this or if there's anything else that I need to know about. Like that is your intention going into this conversation. When your intention is right, The language comes naturally as a byproduct of that, right? If you're not trying to be like a scammy salesperson, if you don't actually think you can help them, right? The intention is going to come as a byproduct, or the right intention is going to come as a byproduct of you being able to know that, okay, this is what you need. This is going to be the right thing. Now's the right time. Don't just memorize scripts. I know I've said that a bunch. Understand the strategy and let your conviction drive the words. So just read through this, listen through back this, dozens and dozens of times. So why does presence matter more than tactics, right? The longer that you do sales, the more that you realize your presence, your confidence, your certainty and frame matter much more than some sort of like NLP tricks or language patterns or psychological things you can do. It's just like literally getting down to the brass tacks of what is this person struggling with, why exactly, what is holding them back, and just really like ultimately caring about that person and them getting their end result. So when you have this strong presence and you can present yourself in this way, people don't sense weakness within you. They don't try to negotiate. They just take your price as it is. They don't ask for discounts because they know that you're the premium service. You get higher cash collected, you get fewer refunds, and they cancel other calls of people that they might have talked to of other coaching programs or other similar offers because they know that they want to work with you and they know that you're the best option, right? Your energy and conviction are the ultimate differentiators, not just the words on a page. So let's jump into the actual practice scenario and we'll walk through the complete examples. Okay, now keep in mind, I don't have it listed on here, but this is where you would drop the investment, right? You go through the entire process, you drop the investment. Hey, so John, for us to implement these 4 pillars for you to help you reach your end goal is just $15K. And then they're going to say, okay, cool. So yeah, this sounds great. I like everything, but with the holidays coming up, I really just want to start after Thanksgiving. And then you're going to say, okay, cool. So, timing aside or everything else aside, we covered the exact 4-step process. Do you 100% want to do this, right? You believe it's exactly what you need to get to $100 grand a month, or you'd insert whatever their goal is. And they say, yeah, this is exactly what I'm looking for. Now you might be saying, Aaron, what if I ask this question and they're like, oh, they're kind of iffy with this. You messed it up somewhere else in the call, right? At this point, we're assuming that they were a 10 out of 10, that this is the right thing, now's the right time, that you tied down after the pitch, before you drop the price, and you have all the context that you need. So they should be at this point, if you did everything else right, they should be at the point where they're saying, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for, or something along those lines, right? Confident that this is what they need. I'll drop a couple videos down in the description that just go over like our exact sales script to actually get you to this point. But at this point, assuming we did everything right, they're going to say, yes, this is exactly what I'm looking for. So you're going to say, okay, perfect. So, what day would you want to officially start? And they'd say, yeah, I'm thinking about December 10th. So I say, okay, so, if we were having this same conversation, let's say on December 10th, and you feel the same way you do right now, you're processing payment and moving forward, you're moving forward. And they're going to say, yeah, I'll be all set then. I say, okay, perfect. Can I give you some feedback? And then you're going to pause for them to answer, obviously, because they're going to say, hey, can I give you some feedback? They're going to say, yeah. And you're going to say, when are you actually going to be out? Right? What days are you going to be out? They're going to say, yeah, I'll be gone the 20th till the end of the month, which is about 10 days. And here's where we bring that first loop. So I'm going to say, okay, so look, I don't think the best thing is to hop in right now if you're not going to be able to fully utilize it. But based on your business constraints, being lead generation, and being that the best month for you is in January, I also didn't think that the best thing is to do nothing. So here's what I do for you, is you're going to be gone 10 days. So let's just start now, and I'll add 10 days to the end of our engagement. That way, by December 10th, when you wanted to start anyway, you'll have the offering modeled and your acquisition funnel in place. So if I'm willing to do that, are you willing to move forward right now? And the prospect, they're going to say, yeah, if I don't miss out the time, that makes sense. Let's move forward. Now, again, remember, if they didn't move forward on this, you just go back to up where I talked about the loop 2. I think it's kind of redundant at this point, but you would just go back to that. You go into loop 2 and then call out if they don't want to move, if they want to move forward, right? You want to get down to the bottom of it. It's like, hey, so what's really going on? And that would be basically the finality or the final part there. And it'll get you to the end of the close, collect payment, get things done, and make it happen. So just a couple final thoughts here. Right, mastering the timing objection comes down to 3 things. Number 1 is the strong tie downs, right? Making sure that they are 100% in. So you isolate that timing is the only issue or whatever objection in general, right? Changing the terms. So if literally the only thing holding them back is the time, you just change a little bit of the engagement and the logistics to get them to move forward, to get them past that objective or that obstacle. And then the last thing is leader level energy that communicates certainty and conviction. So remember, people buy from people they trust and believe in. When you show up with a genuine conviction about how you can actually help help them, everything else is going to fall into place. So all that being said, like I said, first things first, down below in the description below, you can actually grab this this entire script if you haven't already. Also, the second link down in the description is there's a quick quiz. You'll just answer a couple of questions, and then we'll give you a customized roadmap based on your specific scenario. So click the second link down in the description. Also, you can click the video on screen. It's going to bring you to our entire sales script that it could get you to this point if you don't already have that process in place. We'll see you guys in the next one. Talk soon. Peace.